Is ChatGPT dumbing us down as a collective? Last week's episode walked you through how ChatGPT is getting the human design of many, many people wrong. I was even on a call the other day with my mastermind group, and one of the participants thought, well, I'll just run it through just to see. She knew her human design, but she ran her birth information through 3 times in a row, and 3 times got the wrong answer. And we've all had these happenings where we put something through ChatGPT and we get an answer and we think, what the actual F is that? That's craziness. But how many times don't we catch the craziness of ChatGPT? I'm Vickie Dickson, and I am a copywriter, a human design specialist, and a lifelong entrepreneur. In this episode, we're veering a little bit away from human design because I'm introducing you to a summer series. And this summer series is going to focus on the use of AI according to the entrepreneurs who are actually in the trenches using it wisely, or using it for different things that you may be thinking of using it for. Over the course of July, we are going to be running 3 episodes a week. And in each episode, I am going to speak with a different expert. These experts range from voice actors, to spiritual entrepreneurs, to a womb healer, to someone who trained AI in her corporate job, to someone who has been asked to test ChatGPT as far as higher consciousness, to the #1 voice coach, I believe, on the planet, and many more in between. Today, I'm going to introduce you to why I am airing this series and walk you through my own concerns and my own use of ChatGPT. I'm going to pop my SpeakPipe in the link in the show notes for you so that you can send me a voice memo. I would love to hear from you. Are you using ChatGPT? How are you using ChatGPT? What are you worried about? I want to know all the things. So like I said, this episode came about because of this human design situation that someone had. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have been very leery of using ChatGPT and AI. Maybe it's to the point of paranoia even, certainly compared with some other people in my sphere of influence who use AI for so many more things than I do. My rule of thumb has been that I will put my free content through ChatGPT, things like podcast episodes to create show notes, things like that, but I won't put my paid work through. When I attended PodFest in 2025, the beginning of 2025, there was an entire track on AI and how people are using it. And some of it was fascinating and made me think, oh my gosh, the time saving that would be. And some of it, to be honest with you, absolutely terrified me. I sat in on an author track because I'm writing a book this year. And on this author track, one person stood up and spoke from stage about how he had written an entire book through AI. AI wrote the book. Now, he has this as a disclaimer on his website and on the site where you purchase the books, on Amazon, anywhere you purchase the book. And still, to me, that felt kind of gross. On an author panel discussion, someone who is an author actually recommended that people stop buying books and start asking AI what they needed to know to give them a summary according to their needs and their business, their, say, weaknesses and strengths. What could they take from that book and use in their business? And my heart broke a little bit inside because I was like, really? An author is standing up there telling us not to buy books anymore? Instead, to outsource it to ChatGPT and ask it what we need to know? The TLDR, too long, didn't read? I don't know. And you know what? This episode is one of those episodes that may go down in history and have me sounding like the village idiot. And I'm okay with that because I think that as entrepreneurs, we really are ready for these conversations. That's why I'm bringing you this series. As I said, we kick off with a voice coach. The voice coach who I have had the pleasure of working with for 6 months. And she's going to be talking about authenticity and how buyer trust is at an all-time low. Robotic content is not going to bring people through who trust you enough to give you their money. I've gathered 10 or 12 experts at this point, entrepreneurs just like you who are experts in their field, about how they're using ChatGPT and their concerns. And as I'm recording this intro episode for you, I've only completed 3 of the 12 interviews, but I'm seeing a theme. We all have the same concerns. We're all a little bit afraid of losing our voice. We're all concerned about the consciousness, collective consciousness. We're all concerned about the dumbing down that seems to be happening. One of my concerns is that we seem to be losing the ability to critically think for ourselves more and more. It concerns me that when I Google something now, I get one answer, and that's the AI version of the answer. Remember when you used to Google something and you would get pages and pages and pages? Now you get one answer. What if I want more than one answer? What if I want to read all of the things and dive in on 16 different websites and actually make up my mind for myself? It seems like that option requires a whole lot more digging now. And what is the benefit, or who benefits from this collective dumbing down, from this collective inability to critically think? It's my belief, and it may or may not be yours, and that's okay. We can still be friends. But it's my belief that we've had enough of that over the past 5 years. We've had enough of one voice telling us how we need to live, how we need to think, how we need to run our lives, our businesses, all of the things, our health. And that concerns me. It concerns me that we are buying into this entity, or whatever it is, to give us one answer on things. I also think it dumbs us down. In my signature course, Content by Design, I work with uncovering the conditioning, the layers and layers of conditioning on your voice. Anyone can fill up the ethers with content. Anyone is filling up the ethers with content. But is it content that actually says something? There are a few people who come into Content by Design and all they've been doing is calling it in with ChatGPT written posts. I can always tell when I see a ChatGPT written post or an AI written post. Can you tell? They say that the best way to use AI is to put your inputs in first, have AI zhuzh it up and send it back to you, and then you finalize it as well. We lose less of ourselves when we use this kind of a process as we use AI. And there is another episode on this podcast about how to use AI without losing your voice. I'm going to pop that in the show notes for you because it is a human design-based episode. It walks you through how to use AI according to your human design. For projectors, one of the very best uses of AI is to have it recognize you, to put your work through and have it recognize you. Generator types, manifesting generators and generators, for us, it's awesome to have something to respond to. And I go through the other types on that episode that I'm going to link in the show notes for you as well. But I think just using it to pop out content for no reason at all that really says nothing other than, hey, buy my services. Hey, I've got this program. Hey, I've got this course. That dog just isn't going to hunt anymore. Not now. Not when there's so much noise online. The way that we cut through that noise is to use our own voices. And yes, we can use AI to zhuzh things up, to check our grammar, to ask for other perspectives, to ask it to work with us, to have a conversation. A lot of verbal processors use ChatGPT to have a conversation so that they can actually flush out what they think. But that is key. What do you think? What do you think? For the love of God, please think when you're using AI. I'm going to run you through a few little stats, not scary stats, but a few little stats. MIT just did brain scans of ChatGPT users. I don't know how many ChatGPT users because the study didn't say that. When it was studying these brains, it said that 83% of people couldn't quote a single sentence from the content that they had written minutes earlier. And I can believe it because I know when I am doing my show notes with ChatGPT, I almost said my show notes with human design. When I'm doing my show notes with ChatGPT, there are lots of times where I have to force myself to read it because sometimes it pulls out things that aren't even from that episode. And if I didn't read it, those show notes would just go in. It's just like I'm just calling it in. I have to make myself read it and go, wait a minute, did I really talk about that on that episode? It really takes you being cognitively awake as you're using AI. So 83% couldn't quote a single sentence that they had just written. That's crazy. When they compared it with people who did not use AI, who used their brain only, they could easily grab a sentence that they had written, which makes sense. There's a 47% drop in neural engagement when we use AI. That is some scary shit. They're calling it cognitive atrophy, which is a muscle that's not being used, so it wastes away. Your brain on AI. Holy cow. Now, according to this MIT article, they say that ChatGPT or AI, whatever you use, makes tasks 60% faster. Now, I don't know about you, but my ChatGPT is a lot more than 60% faster. It can whip me up show notes in under a minute from an episode. If I were to do that on my own, it would probably take me about 30 to 40 minutes, and I'm pretty fast at doing things, but I would not whip them up in under a minute. So I know the math on that, but that to me is a lot faster than 60% faster. And in this series of episodes that you're going to be listening to over this summer, I hope, you're going to hear from entrepreneurs who are using AI in so many innovative ways. You're going to hear from one of the participants that I spoke with, and she even puts her notes from conferences, just the pictures of the notes, through her ChatGPT, and it gives her a framework for what was said. Like I said, I've only at this time completed a few of these interviews, so I'm excited to hear how others are using ChatGPT differently than I am. Certainly more effectively than I am, perhaps. And I hope that you will get the same kind of juice out of this series, where you'll be able to take all of these suggestions and see what will work for you in your business. I know that you're going to hear from people who are using it in all kinds of ways that would change the trajectory of your business. AI can save us having extra VAs and extra assistants in some cases. Look at the video editing that we can do with AI. Look at how fast we can crank things out. And each of these entrepreneurs is going to walk you through specific concerns that they have around it. I haven't yet booked one interview with anyone who doesn't have a concern about our use of AI and how we are no longer using our brains as we once were, how creativity is being outsourced, and concerns about what we're going to lose in the process over the long haul. So I'm excited to dive in with you on this series. I hope that you'll stick with us for each and every one of the interviews. The episodes will be a little longer than my normal episodes, and I promise you that they will be worth it. You will walk away with loads of different things and a whole lot of different perspectives on this new era that we are in. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and I look forward to spending the month of July with you.